There he is. Critical hit on the tail. Oh, K50. Okay, let's hit him again. Okay, fuel tank, he's not burning. I have no heavy machine gun. Okay, engine is now hit. He's not burning. Now he's burning. Second hit on the fuel tanks. Clearly my fault, right? Clearly my fault. Hello there, and welcome back to Warzone aboard the Challenger 2 TES, the quote-unquote new rank 7 battle rating 11 British quote-unquote main battle tank. Yeah, it acts a bit more like a heavy tank with not that convincing of heavy armor, but we'll talk about this in a moment. I don't want to sound too negative, I don't wanna hate on top tier or anything, but it's kind of hard to really love this tank, especially since it's not that different from its predecessor and costing yet another 400,000 RP. That's before we talk about the stock grind, civilian costs, etc. There is one good thing though, when it comes to Western MBTs, only it has the common thing with only the Swedish to have stock AP FSTS, and that eases the pain of not having stock heat FS quite a bit. So it also features convincing protection versus heat rounds, but not so much tandem warheads of certain ATGMs, also from the side because it is packed into era packs, but they do not really help versus AP FSTS. And to be honest, in the time playing this tank, it has not happened to me being hit once by a heat warhead of any designation or heat round. Everybody fired AP FSTS, and this is where the tank is then not that awesome. It still can work in a hull down position, but it has issues getting there. Let's start with the mobility. So we have a really heavy tank of 74.8 tons powered by a quote-unquote only 1217 horsepower strong engine, fully upgraded that is, giving it a horsepower to ton ratio of 16.3. 16.3 is significantly less than the majority of other nations' main battle tanks, and yeah, the majority of them are around the 25 to 30 horsepower to ton ratio mark. So this tank is slow to accelerate, and also the top speed with 59 kilometers per hour isn't that amazing, but the reverse speed of 37 kilometers per hour at least is manageable. It turns slowly. It's a heavy brick, and that is just not really all that great at top tier. Let's talk about the armor and the survivability. So even the lower glacis has gotten some nearer elements, external composite armor so to speak, and yeah, it helps a little bit. You don't get destroyed by any SPA immediately, but there is still a section at the very lowest point of the lower glacis that is not really protected and only 70mm thick, so you still can get easily destroyed through the lower glacis at the bottom, and even between the tracks and this external era plating there is also a gap to the left and to the right. Then we also have the driver's hatch and also the turret ring and the area around the gun breech. The rest is relatively tough. The upper glacis and also the turret cheeks are really tough, and that helps you at longer ranges if you know how to use hull down positions, but they are not really that common on Kursk or certain other long range maps, which sadly I get not really that often, and the examples that you see in this battle are the only ones that I've ever gotten. The survivability is also not that great. Armor is everywhere inside of the tank, and that really hurts it. The driver sits basically on ammo and also has a big chunk of it to its left. There is also some standing up charges right next to the loader, and even some warheads are on the side of the turret, and obviously a lot of propellant charges in front of the engine standing up. And also the back of the turret has all the APFSDs, which when hit still blow up because they are 3D wise modeled as APFSDs rounds, and in the bottom of the tank there are the hash rounds. That brings me now to the ammunition. As I said, this tank is blessed with a stock APFSDs in the shape of the stock L23A1. 396 millimeters of penetration with a muzzle velocity of 1535 meters per second, and at 60 degrees angles of attack it still penetrates 229 millimeters, and at 1000 meters you still have 376 millimeters of penetration. It does the job. Then you have the choice between a L34 smoke round as a tier 1 upgrade or the L26 with 493 millimeters at 0 degrees angles of attack and 285 millimeters at 60 degrees angles of attack, and an increase in the muzzle velocity to 1650 meters per second. That's already a bit of an upgrade, but again not that mandatory, so you can focus on parts and then progressing through the upgrades. And then you have the L27A1 round with 564 millimeters at 0 degrees angles of attack and 326 millimeters at 60 degrees angles of attack, with then the same muzzle velocity of 1650 meters per second as a tier 4 upgrade. Then you also have overall 3 sources of smoke. You have an ESS system, you have the smoke grenades as a tier 3 upgrade, and you have, as I said earlier, as a tier 1 upgrade, the L23 smoke round. How useful that is, and because you're also living in the time of thermal imaging, which you have in good quality, but only for the gunner. So there's also that. Overall, the tank has also 5-second reload for a fully trained ace crew. And that is a bit of a problem because you don't have an autoloader. Now, when your loader gets injured, your commander falls out, you lose also a little bit of reload. You know, and when you're down to 2 crew, you have a really long reload. That really isn't that nice compared to all the autoloaders, especially when you think about the Type 10 existing, yeah, with also a better shell. That's not really all that great. Now, then you also have 31 degrees turret rotation speed and 11 degrees of gun elevation speed. And yeah, I really don't like helicopters. I don't know if you have noticed. So the shell isn't a lol pen shell. You have to aim a bit more carefully, but the post-penetration damage effect is sufficient as far as I am concerned. And it is just doing the job. Once this tank gets into the play, it has the habit of sometimes surprising the enemy with its toughness, maybe also because they do not see them that often. What is, however, a massive weakness of this tank are all those radio antennas coming out of the top, together with this T-table and the machine gun. You cannot really hide hull down, so the enemy always knows when you're about to peek out, way before your gun barrel crosses the horizon, so to speak. So that is something that you really need to be aware, and that kind of kills the purpose of this hull down thing. So again, let's summarize. It's a slow tank, not really that maneuverable, and it is also very big. It also is well protected versus heat rounds, but tandem warheads still mostly go through the side and also the front when they get fired from helicopter. You don't have a heavy machine gun, only 2 light machine guns, and you have a lot of attachments to your tank that are not that great. Another thing that I noticed is when you're fighting Russian tanks, then their plating, the side plating, especially of T80 variants, very often can eat up your APFSDs. Yeah, I thought I could hit here the driver's edge, but I have to aim a bit more careful than that. And that was by hitting the gun. Don't ask questions, it doesn't make sense. So in this battle you can see what I'm talking about. I was the only one of my team in the middle of the map, and the rest of my team then got A and C, and now somebody is decapping B. And if I would be any faster, usually you would say this is an advantage, but for whatever reason, despite what might be logic, it turns out that this tank, that's what I'm talking about. Even the tracks eat APFSDs like crazy. You seem to be at the right position at the right moment very often, and it works. It's not a tank that I would let win any sort of competition, but it surprisingly works well for me personally. And today when I played this tank, and I don't know why, I had the blessing of not seeing a single night match. That enhanced my enjoyment by quite a bit. So overall, it's not really a tank to be loved. It's not something that would win any sort of beauty competition, but it does the job. And the stock grind is doable. And it has some tough armor in places around the turret and the upper glacis. I have to give it that. It's not a paper tank, but it's not really there to be loved. that's what I don't know how to describe it. It's a tank that I say, yeah, I'm going to play it for a YouTube video and then be done with it. Yeah, Survivor, great, 2 caps, etc. I'm not excited about this tank, but I perform better in it than with the majority of other tanks, and that is a miracle to me. So, there it is, the Challenger 2 TES. Is it really worth the 400,000 RP though, compared to its predecessor? You can't really convince me. Anyway, let me know in the comment section down below. That's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Please give this video a like with it, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see more. And we'll see each other on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.